Okay, so Glenn, this is the meter that you've got, and this is how they look when they arrive. But as I said to you, this display, this screen is not in any way waterproof, and you have to sort that out. All you do is basically use a blade to remove the front cover. Sometimes they look like they're sticking a bit more, but I can assure you that in the sun with a bit of water and this sticky paper, you have very quickly peels away or dries up and the water seeps inside. The other thing that you mentioned to me was that the guys had said that even if it gets water in, if that leaks, it's waterproof. It's not. If you look down there, you can actually see the PC board. Now on this one, there is a little more epoxy than on most, but on this one, I can absolutely see the PC board. If they were to have filled this with the epoxy all the way around, there wouldn't have been a problem. Then yes, you could take a chance with the display as it is. But certainly like that, if salt water gets in there, 10 minutes and this thing stops working. So what is required is you have to fill between the frame and the LED display like that. And I use a fluid called black mastic sealer. Okay, so this is the one that we use. It's a polyurethane filler, and it's called mastic sealant. Ours is Sodaflex. All right, and so what you do is, I won't do it here because I've prepared another one, but you basically squeeze a bead all around along the edge. Then you'd work it in with your fingers. You have to push it in all the way, keep pushing it in, pushing it in, pushing it in until it's full, completely full. And then you wipe away and you carefully clean up everywhere but on that strip where you've put it in. So you clean the frame up, you clean the display up completely. You can't put any sort of what's the word, solvent on here to clean the screen. You must just use a dry cloth like that, so that you end up with something that looks like that. Essentially, you've got the display which has now been wiped, and all around it's filled with the sealant, and you work as hard as you can to get all the excess out from around the frame part. So you don't leave anything in the frame, and the frame must be pretty well free of any residue, but you still can't use a sealant, a solvent. So just use a clean cloth and just go around a few times. You see it's still coming off on the cloth. I already cleaned it, but that is pretty much what you want. So the frame must be free of all the sealant. It must just exist in that cavity around the display. Make sure the display is clean, because there's another step here, and that is you have to now paint the display with silicone, and you have to paint this inner window with silicone. If you don't, then what happens is when you use the super glue to glue it down, the residue that comes off the super glue as it dries will fog up the window and you won't see the display. So the next step now is to do the painting of the silicone on here. So I just use this silicone spray, which I put into a little container like this, just enough that I can get a brush into it. Do it like that, and then I'll simply take the brush. But where is my other little frame? Just a moment. All right, so just back to this display first, or this screen first. So you see the little sticky bit. You have to work that off. You can basically start, once you get one bit to roll, you can generally roll it away with your nail. You don't want to scratch too hard because this is screen printed, and you don't want to take that paint off. If you really struggle, you can use this furniture polish. And if you spray it and leave it for a while, it softens that and you can then wipe it off more easily. But I've already done this one, so this one is clean. Make sure it's not sticky in any which way. And with a clean cloth, give it a good last wipe. And now we paint. So silicone all on the inside. Just keep it to the inside of the white border. It's a very important step, because if you don't do this, it looks like you've done a good job until tomorrow. When you come and have a look at your display, it's all fogged up with the fumes from the super glue. But I am getting something on this. Oh, it's on the other side. That's fine. It's just cold. Okay. So coat it nicely everywhere around the inside, all along the inside the white line. Like that. Put it aside. And then on display, sorry, on the LED display here as well. Coat that fully. Okay. Must just basically be a coating. It doesn't have to have huge dollops on there, but as long as every part of it is coated, you won't notice it once the screen is on, because the screen is opaque, slightly opaque, so it sort of takes care of the paint job. Right, once we've got that, we've now got the two halves. Now make sure you've got this orientated correctly, so the dots are at the bottom, obviously, voltage point or whatever. And if you turn it over, it says voltmeter on top. I've made the mistake of putting it upside down. So your volts read that way, but your meter is upside down, or your display is upside down. Turn it around, the arrow faces down, and begin as follows. You're now going to fill, or you're now going to use this stuff we call thick super glue, or V300. And you're going to put it all along the inside of the frame, not over the mastic filler, just along the frame side, not too much. Okay, check the orientation again. Don't touch the inside of the screen with your finger. Turn it around, arrow facing down. Now, it's the important part here. Where's my little block? Okay. You might see a change of lighting because the power failed again. Okay, so now you're going to drop this into there carefully. Make sure it drops into the frame. Use your blade just to manipulate it slightly. And then you use something like this. At the moment, what I've used, you can use a block of wood. I've used an old meter and shaved it down so it fits inside the frame. And I can use it just to press down on all sides. You have to press it down to get the air out. Okay, but now there's a fine mess on there, and you've got to quickly work to remove it. As much of it as you can, as quickly as you can, before it dries and hardens. Clean cloth, keep changing positions. Alright, not a great one, but I think that little delay in looking for my block, which was under my silicone, cost me some time. Okay, once you've removed as much as you can, the trick I learned was to use this catalyst and to absolutely saturate. Now, although it hardens, while there's so much of it, it also cleans. So you can quickly spray it and then use your fingernail to use, and put it on again. Now what it's doing is it's basically drying the super glue, and what it's drying along the edge here, and it's also drying what was on top, but for as long as I'm moving it around, it's not getting a chance to settle, and I'm able to remove most of the residue with this. So it's doing two jobs. It's now drying, setting the super glue instantaneously along the edges, and it's the part that is getting inside, and the rest is being used just to clean off the residue on top. And that's about the best result as you can hope for, re-gluing or refitting this display onto this kind of a meter. It took us a long time to work out the processes to make this work. We tried many ways to stick it down. We wasted a huge number of meters. They were all spoilt, but anyway, this is roughly how they work fine. That's it. So that's the meter. It's now quite usable. The label is back, and certainly it is now waterproof. And even if something were to happen to the display, it is now waterproofed on the inside as well. And of course at the back, this is what it looks like before we paint it black. So you cut off the thin leads, solder your wires along the back of the tag where there's an open area. Make sure you tin it well, then you solder your wires down, epoxy it, and then we just paint it black. So that's the meter.